Good morning. I can't hear you. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's much better. I'm privileged to address this conference of mayors. It is indeed a privilege. Let me start by congratulating the Mayor of Paris for successfully hosting the 2024 Olympic Games. And we stand in solidarity with the Mayor of Kiev, who wanted to be here, but is not here because of the war in the Ukraine. But here we are, colleagues. You matter. You matter greatly. The decisions that you take today will be consequential as we build cities of the future. According to a report done in 2018 by the McKinsey Institute, 55% of people live in cities. But by 2050, close to 70% of people will be living in cities, and they will be contributing about 2/3 of the global GDP. So cities, colleagues, matter. Colleagues matter in terms of democracy as well, because they are the closest government to the people. You can't run away from the people. If you are elected in a city setting, you have to belong to the people. They have to know you. And people tend to take local government seriously because it deals with their issues. When you wake up in the mornings, you open your tap, you dispose your waste, you drive using your municipal road. So the first people that you talk to really are your local governments. So it's very important that you have functional municipalities. It's important that we create leaders at municipal level, at city level, because that's where we create leaders of tomorrow. If we look at our cities today, what do we see? Colleagues, we see cities that are characterized by homelessness. We see cities that are really two in one, where you have people living in parts of the city, in the center of the city, who are financially able, but then you have people on the periphery of our cities who really cannot afford rentals in our cities, cannot buy property in our cities. Our cities are running out of open spaces. Those of us who follow soccer would know that one of the reasons why we don't have young people who are skillful is because they do not have spaces where they can play, and that is important for us. In the past, when I was growing up, a lot of marriage proposals were made in our parks because our parks were serene, they were very exciting. Some would say maybe people committed themselves because of the excitement, but that's where people used to come together, read, get together and talk about problems of the world and reflect. We don't see those things anymore because our parks today are dirty, they are characterized by crime. There's no investment in our parks, there's no investment in our libraries. We are saying we need to invest more in our cities because our cities right now will really define the future. If 75% of the people are in cities, if 2/3 of our people are in cities, then cities will matter in terms of the leaders that we produce, but in terms of the quality of life of our people. Right now, our people experience crime in our cities because we are not investing in technology to deal with crime. Our people are running out of jobs in our cities because cities attract talent. Because of agglomeration, cities are able to connect universities, talent, technology, venture capital, and investment. It's only cities that can do that. Rural areas find it difficult to do that. So people will always come to cities. Even if you discourage them, they will come to cities. So how do we make sure that cities create those opportunities? Rough sleepers are everywhere in our cities because people cannot afford the properties that we find in our cities. Colleagues, I would urge you to take this meeting very, very serious. And I would propose that as we move towards concluding the business of this conference, we look at the possibility of establishing a global fund that will do a number of things. One, to develop best practices in terms of cities of the future. Two, to establish partnerships, form partnerships with universities, think tanks, and financial centers so that we imagine cities of the future. These cities of the future, in my view, would actually be characterized by digital platforms in terms of both service offerings, but also in terms of democracy itself. It's not enough for us to call meetings here, that is important, but we can also have technologies where we look at public participation, we look at petitions. Those are things that we think are important in terms of our cities. As I conclude, I must say that, colleagues, cities matter. If we don't have great cities, our people will lose confidence not just in our cities, but in our democracies. Because when you invest, you look at the schools that your children will attend, You look at the electricity, the supply of infrastructure, and those things are provided by cities. You're looking at land, because land is important for housing and economic development, and cities own land. And where they do not own land, they actually decide in terms of where you can develop through their development application mandate. So cities really, really matter in terms of investment, decision making, attracting investment. If you look at cities like London, they will be financial centers because they will be able to put the talent together and have all the banks around, banks and insurance companies around that sector. In San Francisco, you can see that you can have the universities here, then you can have venture capital, then you can have Silicon Valley. They are connected together. If you do not have that connection, then it's difficult for your city to work. Colleagues, let's go out here and make the citizens of the future marvel at who we are, how we lead them. Colleagues, this mandate cannot be given or transferred to another generation. It's our generation that should create conditions for cities of the future. Thank you very much.